Hello, welcome to Storytime&Crafts with me, Karasu. Grab a chair and if you want to, grab a craft. I'm doing a whip and chat today. Whip stands for work in progress and chat is me telling you kind of what's been going on. I haven't done one of these in almost 3 weeks. A lot's been going on, so I will do my best to keep this within an hour mark. I am going to be working on a new canvas today. I am actually working on Sparkle Queen Creations rainbow poop emoji. I happened to see this on one of my favorite YouTubers, Miss Coffee's channel, and was like, okay, I want to craft along with her. I was able to squeeze out a little bit of money from my last paycheck from one of my jobs that ended this past weekend. So it's like, okay, cool. I get to join along. My pen and all the tools I'm using are from Diamond Art Club. I can't wait to get into this huge pack of diamonds. Let's open this up and I will let you know what's been going on in my life. My kids are at school now, in school now, both of them are. That's one of the reasons why I haven't really been doing a whole lot of stuff on my channel is both my kids didn't start school at the same time. One started about a week earlier than the other. And of course, having one kid home and one kid at school, they were at each other's throats as soon as they were home. My youngest was home because my youngest started earlier than my oldest did. Now that they're both in school, all the programs and stuff, oops, need to cover mine to actually work. I have found myself being a very big scatterbrain right now. I'm one of these parents that I love it when my kids go to school, but I don't want them out of my house. I have extreme anxiety the first couple weeks of school, of the what ifs, and I feel I need to be on call all the time, so I'm always on edge. The first couple days my youngest was at school, I went in for teacher orientation, which is you go in on the first day or the second day because they have half the class there, and you get all the information you need and stuff from your kid's teacher. You can choose, because he's in Head Start, you can choose to stay a little bit and interact with your child, see what they do in the mornings, that sort of thing. He's old enough that he is going to be there all day. Last year, because of restrictions and everything, he was only at school half a day, and he did great. He didn't do very well on the full days when they started. Before, around here, it became very apparent that nobody was getting vaccinated and there was a lot of kids that were getting sick, so it was safer for everybody to just stay home or only be there half day, less exposure, which was kind of nice, especially for my son at the time was only 3, so first time at school. I didn't expect him to be able to go all day. Yeah, he was one of the older 3-year-olds, but still, I didn't expect him to go all day. Made arrangements with his teacher to go full days, 2 days a week, and then next thing I know, I'm being told, no, only half days because of the world mess that happened 2 years ago, 3 years ago now that started. So this year, crossing our fingers that they don't have to do that again. I'm hoping he will be prepared by the end of this school year for kindergarten. My oldest is running into an issue that his class is so big for the small school that he's in. They only have 2 teachers. Sorry about that. Somebody decided to call me. My oldest has only 2 teachers in his school, and his classroom, or his class normally would go up to the older kids' classroom, but they have so many kids in that age group that they have to figure out who's academically where, so they can split the class up. So right now he's on his 2nd day of school. He is running into the issue of they aren't sure who has what and who's doing what. So the teachers are trying to figure out, okay, this kid does better in this academics with this teacher. So he's starting out in one classroom for half the day, and then he's shifting over to the other classroom for a couple hours, and then it's up to him to decide what he's doing from there. So the way his school is set up is 4 hours in the morning they do all their academics. They do their reading, their writing, their math, their sciences, that sort of thing is first thing in the morning. Then in the afternoon they do their science experiments, they do their academics, so their electives, as some people would call it. So yesterday, in order to help out at the school, they had to move their wood pile because they burn wood in the wintertime. So they're still trying to prep for winter and that sort of thing. And it's up to the kids to help. I mean, the kids clean the school, they're so small. Okay, sorry about that. Apparently, spam callers can't get a freaking hint. But his school's so small that the kids clean the school. Last year, they took me on as a trial run to see if it was worth hiring a custodian, seeing if it was worth having somebody there for a couple hours a week. And I was offered the job back up again this year if it was open, and I haven't heard on that yet. But I told administration that yes, I am willing to take it on again. I no longer spend my weekends sanitizing the high school anymore. I put in almost a month ago that I was no longer going to be doing that after this last holiday. So that's actually something that was stressing me out, is because I was going, how the heck am I going to do 3 jobs? How am I going to arrange working from home, helping my husband out with his business, working at my new job, which is cleaning our Head Start is split into 2 buildings. One's for the younger kids and one's for the older kids. So one's for ages 2 to 3, and the older kids, the older building, which is where my youngest is at, is from 3 to 4-year-olds to start with. The kids that are just not quite old enough to go into kindergarten yet. and they had a position open at the younger kids building, which is closer to my house, for a custodian there. And I applied for it because it's like, okay, that flexible hours, I can do it when I need to. So I was excited to get that. I was trying to figure out, okay, I have 2 jobs. I can deal with those 2 jobs. I mean, working at the Head Start is a lot more money than the high school because it's 2 different entities. But I'm not one for the money. I needed it more for my mental health. I normally don't get out of the house much during the week, so having a job helps me unwind. I'm not as snappy when it comes to dealing with my kids, my husband. I get my peace and quiet. I get my time to just unwind. It's not a year-round job, so I'll have to do a little bit of saving when it comes to my bills, so I have stuff for the summer. So it's the same hours as pretty much a teacher. I have to deep clean the school after everybody leaves, and then I turn around and have to go back again and make sure as the teachers are cleaning up or setting up that I keep the area clean for them. I'm hoping I don't have to do a whole lot of shoveling snow once it starts flying. But that's pretty much it. Apricots are pretty much we are dealing with another heat wave right now. My youngest is not going a full day right now because they don't have any AC in his school. They took it down for the summer and didn't get it back up in time. They figured they didn't need it. And of course, Mother Nature's like, oh, you're going to need it. We were at triple digits yesterday, and today we are going to be pushing triple digits. So that's been fun. We get the weekends normally that are cooler, and then during the week it's extremely hot. We're completely surrounded by wildfires. One of the things that we did over the weekend was we went on a trip out of state for us. We live close to the Oregon-Idaho border, and for my car to get serviced, I don't trust anybody in town with my car. I haven't found a shop here in town that I would trust, and I'm strapped for time when it comes to doing oil changes myself. I have a warranty and stuff, so if I'm willing to drive, I drive. So the closest dealership for my car is in Idaho. I take it once a year to Idaho, and then I take it back to the main dealership that I bought it from once a year. So I'm trading off on who works on my car, but I'm like, okay, it's almost September. I need to make an appointment. Well, the closest appointment I could get was September 3rd. So it's like, okay, we're just going to go school shopping. We're going to take the last hoorah with the kids before school starts. Which is like, okay, school started for one kid and we hadn't done it yet. And it's like, okay, well, he'll make do with what he's got. So we took that trip, which was a blast, besides the fact that my husband's foot is still swollen to high heaven. If you didn't see my last whip and chat so long ago, my husband fell and twisted up his ankle, and his foot has swollen quite a bit. The little fun part is because of his condition and the way his nerves react, we can't use ice on him. It damages his nerves and they don't regen back normally. So we don't use ice, period, on him. So he's been pretty much laid up. Right now he is sitting in the front room, foot propped up. He's got his coffee, he's got his food. I made sure he took his meds before I started recording, so I had him all set up. But we took this trip, and it's like, I don't want your foot on the dashboard. I don't want your foot anywhere near that airbag. So he decided, okay, I don't want the AC touching it either. So he wrapped his foot up in our travel blanket, which is a portable heating blanket, and tried to stay off of it as best he can. I mean, he almost ran me over with one of those carts in Walmart. He's really good at that. He hates using them. The vibrations are atrociously painful for him. But I told him it was, you ride it now. You don't have to ride it later. Because we had to kill time while the car was being serviced. So the dealership's right next to a Walmart. So it's like, okay, walk over. He rode around Walmart while me and the kids walked, because of course you stick any kids that are in grade school in a car for 2 hours, you definitely want to make sure you wear them out before you stick them back in the car again. We walked around Walmart, got a couple things because we didn't want to do a whole lot of buying in Idaho. They have a sales tax, and being from Oregon, we don't have that here. So what we tend to do is we go looking and go, okay, we need to look for this, 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 and this at the Oregon Walmart. So on the way back, we stopped and got food and went shopping at Walmart there in Ontario, Oregon. Which by then my husband's foot was like completely, I don't want you walking on me anymore. But he was a big trooper, and we did that. The kids had a blast. The only downside I ran into was the fact that I had 2 wound up kids when I got home. All their new toys. They didn't want to listen, so they lost said all new toys for a couple hours. They took naps in the car. My husband came home and crashed because of the amount of pain he was in. And I was exhausted. That trip actually almost didn't happen because the day before, we had a car catch on fire that closed the freeway down. That day was very interesting on the freeways around here because our freeways were pretty much closed. We had a wildfire that was started by a car that was caught on fire, and then we had going one way. Going the other way, which I had taken my oldest to go food shopping the day before. So we had literally just gotten home and the roads closed because we had a wildfire, unbeknownst to me, that was chasing us down as we were coming home. I'm used to it being really smoky this time of year. We deal with wildfires in August normally and goes until October. So to have the heat and the smoke is normal for us. It's just having the filters for the house and making sure the kids, if the air quality is bad enough, they wear a mask to and from the car, to and from the school buildings. I've had parents look at me weird because me and my kid are in masks until we get inside the building. And then, of course, I leave it up to my kids whether they continue to wear their mask or not. I've had a couple people ask me, well, why do you make your kid wear a mask outside? And I tell them the air particles are enough that it will trigger a flu-like reaction for my kids, so I'm trying to prevent them from getting sick. Both my kids have, it's not sinuses per se. My oldest does have hay fever, which doesn't help when his school is on the edge of town right next to a field of alfalfa, which they are cutting. They're doing their last cutting right now of alfalfa hay, so he's having a heck of a time. I pack him medicine in his lunch pail, and I make sure he gets meds before he leaves and comes home, takes a bath to get it all off of him, but he's stuffed up and miserable right now, which doesn't help that he has soccer that he is doing. He's got practice. They were going to do practice first day of school, and they're like, well, wait a minute. We don't want the kids coming straight out of school to go to practice. So we'll wait till the end of the week when they're already exhausted. They're already wanting the week to be done with, and we'll do practice then. So he has practice 2 days a week, and then the other 2 days of the week will be games. Luckily, he will have the weekend to recover. I have no idea if I'm actually going to have a non-grumpy son until the end of October. My oldest is extremely skinny. He does not have a whole lot of stamina. He gets very cranky very easily, and it drives me bonkers, but he loves the sport, and I'm not going to stop him. I ask him every year, are you sure you want to go out for soccer? Are you sure you want to go out for swimming? Those are his two major sports. And every year it's, yeah, I want to go out. One of the reasons why we went school shopping is he needed new cleats. We couldn't find any in town, and ordering them wouldn't make it in time. So we just, okay, that we're going to stop by a sports goods store on our trip so we could get shoes for him, which he was like completely over the moon walking into a sports goods store. I mean, my family is not very active. Part of that is because my husband is not able to move around a whole lot, so he's a heavy gamer. He's the one that interacts with them a lot of the times when it comes to reading, gaming. I'm the one who takes them to the park, the library. I'm the one who a lot of the time is the active one, and I don't I don't like hiking, I don't like running, I like being outside. I love to camp. Never taken my kids camping. I'd love to one day, but I don't see myself spending that kind of money to fight with my kids, to entertain my kids for a weekend, for a night. The closest we've gotten to that is my husband had a doctor's appointment right after the 4th of July. And here in the States, of course, we do a huge celebration for the U.S. independence. So we went out to my parents, and the kids were going to stay the night. So we didn't have to worry about them. Didn't have to worry about having to track the kids back out there, not having to worry about, well, how are we going to take care of our animals and everything before leaving. So I went out with my kids, spent the night out at my parents', woke up at an extremely godly, awful early morning hour, drove back into town. My parents live about 15 to 20 minutes away from me. So I drove back in early morning, picked up my husband after he had taken care of the animals, and then we left. His doctors are over in Idaho, so we went back over to Idaho. The kids spent the day spent the day with my mom because my dad went back to work. My mom was complaining to the fact that she wasn't going to get any sleep. As soon as I got my kids to sleep and I was about ready to go to sleep, my dad left. He's a long haul truck driver, so we were lucky to even have him there that day, which I was so grateful for. It was one of the things that I was so used to having. I never celebrated my birthday on my birthday. It was always on the 4th of July because my dad promised me the majority of the time he would bust his butt to be home on the 4th, but he couldn't guarantee he'd be home on my birthday, which was fine. Growing up, that was normal for me. My kids not understanding that. I mean, me and my husband are home all the time. Me and my husband are not away normally for any length of time unless there's a specific major big reason. Our move to the house we live in now was a big trial for everybody. My youngest had never been away from me for any length of time, and I was gone for 24 hours. Or I was gone for a weekend. Yeah, I was gone for a weekend. I came over to clean the house before we moved in. We got the keys and we were waiting for the lease to be up on our other place. And my oldest to be out of school. We didn't want to pull him like a week early of school, so we waited until he was out of school to move. But we got the keys early, so I spent a weekend over here cleaning the house, getting it prepped and ready for us to move in, because of course I didn't know, first-time home buyer, I didn't know how the other homeowners would leave the place, and they did actually decent. I had to deal with a lot of stuff left on the walls, little repairs here and there, but they left it pretty decent, which is kind of nice, being a first-time home buyer and scared to move your family almost 600-700 miles. One-time move, one-time trip. So that was fun for me, at least. The first time I've moved that far. But then I was home for a couple days, and then my oldest finished school, and then we moved everything back over here. I spent an 8-hour drive in a car with 2 kids under the age of 5, 3 cats, 1 in a crate, the other 2 roaming freely, and a dog for 8 hours. That was an experience I will never do again. But on the flip side, I will never leave my animals alone. I moved one time and left one animal, brought the others, and trying to reacclimate them back to each other was a nightmare. So that was a nightmare. after we got home, it was like, okay, you can't take care of the dog, we'll drop him off at my parents'. So my dog ended up staying out at my parents' for almost a month after we moved in, just so we could arrange the house. He was the first one in the house. He came over with me when I cleaned, just so I had some peace of mind, a little bit of pre-warning that somebody would be around. It was really nice when I had random people walking up to my house, introducing themselves, going, I'm your new neighbors, and I'm going, well, hello, nice to meet you. My family's not here. My house is still empty. Go away. Or I had people that were coming up going, are you just cleaning it for the new owners, or who are you, and what are you doing in this house? These people should, so-and-so should live here still. And I'm like, no, I just bought the house. I'm new to the neighborhood. They see my dog, they back off, they leave me alone. I have a mutt, my problem child of my animals. He is the sweetest dog you could ever meet. I unfortunately have not been able to take him out for walks. I have not been able to get him used to this neighborhood. I am actually really scared too. He suffers from seizures, and these seizures are long enough to be life-threatening. He is under medication for it. Well, he was. I haven't been able to get him back on his medication since we moved, but since we've moved, his seizures have not been as frequent. We've been able to adjust his diet, that they're not as long, so I don't, at this point, I like the dog I have. I don't like him when he is on medication. He's a totally different dog. If you keep his stress level down, if you keep his brain working, he's fine. When there's high stress in the house, like the last couple weeks, he'll have a seizure, and there's not a whole lot we can do about it. Just hope he comes out of it. But I haven't been able to acclimate him to the neighborhood, because we have dogs that their owners will open the door and let them roam. I cannot have a random dog. Can't have a random dog walking up to him. He will either get overexcited or he will bolt. And when he bolts, it is extremely hard for me to get him back. More because every time he has a seizure, he goes back to being a 1.5-year-old puppy when these seizures started. We have to retrain him how to walk on a line, how to interact with family, how to deal with the cats. It's not easy. And when he was having seizures on a weekly basis, it was extremely hard. My only plus I see is the fact that when he does have these seizures, I don't have to retrain him. When it comes to potty training, that at least sticks, thankfully. I do have a treadmill for him to use so he stays fit. I don't know how many toys to keep him occupied and entertained in the house. We're lucky enough that our house is big enough that where my craft area is downstairs, he's able to run at a full dead run. So I will stand in one side of this huge hallway that we have and throw a ball, or I'll throw a toy, and we'll play fetch down here. Or like this morning, he decided to drop his conch on my husband's foot, going, "Play with me. You haven't played with me in a while." Which, of course, a few choice words, and next thing I know, my husband's throwing a conch around. Which doesn't bode well when I have a cranky cat, because I have one that is territorial and one that adopted me. And Greta, who if you've seen my introduction video, Greta is the one that's on the cover of that, or the thumbnail for that. She is the cat that adopted me. She is very loving, but right now, because of our white behemoth of a cat, he's on a diet, so he's very cranky right now and feels that it's all her fault. So he's been going after her, and he's twice her weight, twice her size. So I've had to break up a couple cat fights, which I don't mind doing. She can hold her own. It's just right now she is so sore, full of scratches and everything. I have hormone relaxants going around. I do my best to play with my cats as much as I can. So they are truly and honestly wore out by the end of the night. But Casper, who is our big bully of the house, feels that because he is on a diet and can't steal from everybody else's food, he's going to take it out on Greta specifically. So I am doing my best not to overthink this and just go, it's a phase, he'll get over it. He'll either lose the weight like he's supposed to, or I'm gonna have to take him to the vet, and I really don't want to have to take him to the vet just because I know he has a gluten allergy that has never been treated. That's kind of a self-diagnosis thing because of he has specialty food that the other cats don't get, and it's just to keep his stool from being really runny. So I know he has an allergy, he has a sensitive stomach, but he has grown way too big. He's fat and lazy. He's a Garfield. For anybody who doesn't know, Garfield is a comic strip or comic book character that is a very fat cat that loves lasagna. Casper is pretty much like Garfield. He loves to eat. He's very lazy. He doesn't like to do anything around the house, so he becomes this bully only when he doesn't get food. Get a drink of my coffee here. My throat's starting to complain. But the only other thing that has really increased the stress around our house is the fact that we haven't been able to keep up on our yard this year, and the city has come by and told us that we need to get a hold of the weeds that have tried taking over our yard. The downside of this is I have about an hour to 2 hours a day that I can spend outside working when the kids are home. If I don't go out during those specific hours, I won't get to it. So we've been trying to scrape up the money and find the help to have somebody come out and do our yard I've told my husband, since I did get an increase in pay with a little bit of an increase in hours, that we might think about taking on another bill. We fought at the beginning of the summer to get our solar panels up and in and working. I mean, we had arranged for solar panels to be put in June. It took them almost until July to get them in, and then we couldn't turn them on until almost August. That was our main stressor, is getting that done, getting that in. So the yard kind of took a back seat, and we were technically doing a no-no in this area and letting our yard go to dry out so I could physically pull up the weeds. I mean, these guys were taller than I was. They were taller than our 6-foot fence. I hadn't gotten the chance to go out there. I was hoping to wait until my kids were back in school. The city went, no, you're only supposed to have weeds up to, I think it was like 3 or 4 inches high. These guys are against city code. They're dried out, so you're running the risk of fire. And it's like, we know. We saturated our yard for July. We kept up on our fruits, our vegetable garden. We kept up that just because we wanted to harvest. And those were the main things that we kept up on. Well, the city told us we needed to find somebody to take care of it. Of course, this time of year, trying to find somebody is null and void. It's a pain in the butt and nobody calls you back. I still have wood to chop for fall. In the winter time, because wood is our secondary heat, we reduce our oil bill by burning an actual wood. We finally got our chimney inspected to make sure it was safe to do so. So this year we'll be burning wood, so I have to chop that before the snow flies, but it's at least been drying for a year, so it'll be easy once I get out to do it. We finally got somebody to come out actually today, and they'll be working on our yard. I feel so sorry for them in the heat, but I've got tea sitting out being made now in the sun, so they'll have some iced tea when they get here, because they aren't going to be here until after lunch time, which I don't get how some people can work in 100-degree temperatures. I will make sure that they have plenty of iced tea and water. I appreciate them from coming out last minute, short notice. I will do my best to be hospitable and able to take on my 3 yards. And if they do a decent job, I'll probably ask them to help next year, come out once a month to help with our yard. I'm hoping this winter I'm able to save up enough to be able to put in a raised garden bed in back, so I don't have to mow that. And we'll get a better harvest next year. But other than kids being back in school, having a new job, which so far I've been apparently they are extremely grateful to have me. So far this is their first week with kids there, so this weekend when I go in is going to be very interesting to see if and how much of a mess I get to clean up. So I can't wait for that, because going out and I'm one of these people who picking is a de-stressor as long as it's not my house. If I clean my house, I get so stressed out about it. So I'll get that, and I think that's pretty much everything. We found out that my youngest is not allergic to wasps. Unfortunately, we lost half of our apricots to a wasp nest. They swarm so bad right now that we have issues going out our front door. And yesterday my youngest got stung. Thankfully, no ER visits with that one. So he's not allergic to them. I don't know about my oldest yet. I don't want to know. Wasps, being allergic to wasps is something that runs in my family. I am allergic to them. I don't swell up like my brother does, but I know my husband isn't, so he's the one who takes care of that. So we have a company that comes out and sprays 3 times a year. They'll be coming out on Friday, thankfully, so I can tell them to completely hose down the tree. I took a wasp nest off our tree while we were picking them at the beginning when they were all ripe and everything, and we didn't find another wasp nest, but many wasps that were there, there had to have been a nest somewhere. We haven't been able to find it, so hopefully when they come and they spray, I can actually go out there and clean up all that. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for what's going on in my life. If you guys want to hear more of me rambling, or you want to let me know how your guys' day has been, your weeks have been, hopefully you guys did enjoy your weekend. I don't normally ask about how people's weekends go because I work on the weekends normally. Now I don't know what my schedule is going to be, so hopefully I know I'm at least not going to be working nights on the weekends anymore, which is like a godsend to me. I don't know why it was so frustrating for me to work weekends on the nights. So I don't mind working Friday nights. I mind working Saturday or Sunday nights. I don't have to do that anymore, thankfully. So if you guys like what you hear, if you guys want to hear me ramble more, since at this point that's my channel, I hope I'm going to be in the mindset to finish the book that I started and be able to finish that for you guys. I don't know at this point whether I'm going to do another read along audiobook sort of thing. I do plan on doing tutorials on how-tos. I did get a keychain bear from Sparkle Queen Creations that I am debating on at this point of doing a time lapse of me working on that bear, letting you guys see my take on it and that sort of thing. If you guys want to see that, please let me know down in the comments. But I think that's it for me right now. My voice is starting to go since I haven't done these in a while. So I hope you guys have a good day. Enjoy either the warm weather or the AC. I know there are some people out there that it's more along the lines of you guys are prepping for winter. So hope you guys have a good day. Please hit the like, dislike, subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.